At least 154 people were killed by Tuesday's explosion in Beirut. Lebanon's health minister says another 5,000 were hurt. The catastrophe has overwhelmed the city's hospitals and sparked some clashes between police and protesters. Let's bring in Maha Yahya in Beirut. She's the director of the Carnegie Middle East Center. Maha, thank you so much for being with us. So a lot of people are obviously saying that, it is time for change in Lebanon. Lebanese people are angry. What is the best way for them to channel that anger in order to bring about change, do you think?
Hi, Zain. Thank you for having me. I think in a number of ways, and they're already happening. People are not just angry, they are livid. What we witnessed on Tuesday is literally a man-made earthquake due to negligence and corruption and the rot that is now at the heart of the way the country is governed. Tomorrow, there are plans for mass protests. Irrespective of COVID-19, I think we're going to see a lot more people down on the street. So there will be a lot of pressure from the bottom up. A lot of the groups that are operating under the broad coalition called the October 17th Revolution, which began in October 2019, are coming together to form a broad sort of an oppositional front to also push for change. There are groups working on a kind of an economic, socioeconomic and political plan and vision for how to get Lebanon out of the mess it's in. But there will be an incredible need, a real need for international pressure, because nothing that the Lebanese can do on the ground will lodge this current leadership that holds all the levers of power, and some hold guns. Nothing will lodge them unless there is sufficient international pressure to get them to allow a transitional government in place and allow a change, a transformation in the way the country is run.
So you think that's really the key here? That's what's going to make the difference, the idea of international pressure. Not going to be an independent investigation under his watch. And also, he's intimated this possibility that this could have been the work of, in his words, a missile or a bomb. Given that that's the sort of language and rhetoric that's being used already, and people are certainly skeptical of it, how confident are you that there is going to be any accountability here?
Quite honestly, if there is no international oversight or involvement in the investigation itself, it's not me. It's most of the Lebanese will not. They will not believe whatever comes out of this investigation. Right now, the Lebanese have really lost confidence, have zero confidence in their political leadership, in the president himself, and the entire political class. So, and they are holding them accountable. They are blaming them for the mess that the country is in. They are blaming them for the catastrophe that happened on Tuesday, for the devastation that Beirut has witnessed. Almost half the city was affected by the explosion. 300,000 people were made homeless. This is catastrophic. So the fact that the same people who are being blamed for the explosion are actually investigating themselves, there's something a bit bizarre about this. So I don't think that people will believe it. Now, this idea that there was a missile attack, this story goes back and forth, and some groups buy into it, that it was a missile attack against the ammonium nitrate that was somehow belonged to Hezbollah, or that Hezbollah had a hand of this. I think this is just pure speculation at this point. We won't know anything unless there's a serious investigation that has some international elements involved in it. And only then would that investigation have any credibility.
Maya, given that the economy was already in free fall, Lebanese people have been suffering for quite some time, who is going to pay for the reconstruction of Beirut?
This will only happen with support from the international community. Again, the country does not have the capacity. The economy, as you said, was in free fall. Actually, just prior to the explosion, the currency had lost 80% of its value. Inflation in June alone was 90%. The price of basic goods like sugar and wheat and flour, sugar, flour, and rice had gone up in an astronomical manner. People have lost their incomes. When the currency is devalued at such a rapid rate, the wealth destruction is massive. The poverty rate had gone above 50% of the population. So, and, there was no way out. Already there was a heavy need for IMF involvement. The government was in negotiations with the IMF. So without international support, Lebanon cannot rebuild and cannot reconstruct. There is no funding for it. And no amount of support that comes from the diaspora, which is what's happening now, and from civil society, which is also what's happening now, that is not efficient or sufficient. We're talking about, I think, $5 to $10 billion worth of rebuilding and reconstruction.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, that is certainly a lot. I mean, Lebanese people have been dealing with so much for so long. It is certainly time for change. Maha Yahya, live for us, thank you so much. Time for a quick break here on Quest Means Business. We'll be right back.